Get all your sports. This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hope you like all the shows.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Shield TV. I'm your host, Darren Ryan. How's everybody doing on this Saturday morning? Hope everyone's doing well. So after a glorious week of Raw and SmackDown, next Saturday you're going to have Bash at Berlin. You're going to see Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Championship. I'm looking forward to that match. Whether or not it's KO or Cody, I'm not against whoever wins that match, but I'm going to say it right now. I think Cody walks out champ. I don't think they're going to take the belt off Cody just yet. So I think you'll see KO. Something's going to happen. KO is going to go to Raw, like I was talking about last show. And you're going to see Jey Uso get moved to SmackDown, which is eventually going to lead up to the Usos getting back together on SmackDown, and they're going to align themselves with the OTC. So that's going to happen, in my opinion. I don't know if it's going to happen for sure, but I'm just stating my opinion. Big mixed tag match scheduled for that card as well at Bash of the Berlin. So you're going to see Damian Priest, and you're going to see Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins, going up against the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan, and Dominic Mysterio, the new Judgment Day. A lot of drama behind this beef. You know, you had them having Dom get involved with Liv's match, which later on set up Finn to get involved with Damian, and basically you had the next night on Raw, after Sunday had passed, pretty much they were like, it was inevitable. It was bound to happen. And they felt like it needed to be done. And leading up to this very moment, we've been going back and forth. Been a lot of beatdowns. And so finally you're going to see them square off. After this match, I see Priest and Balor one-on-one. I think that happens at Bad Blood. And then you're going to see Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan at Bad Blood also. So this is just like a warm-up, so to speak, leading to go into October for Bad Blood. I wasn't really a big fan last night of the U.S. Championship match. I felt like LA Knight needed a better opponent. Which I think he'll eventually get a better opponent. I just wasn't seeing it last night. And then the whole Bloodline versus the Street Profits match. I wish it would have gone on longer. I feel like they need to have that set up at a PLE, which I think could happen at Bad Blood. You might see a triple threat for the titles. You're gonna see DIY versus the Street Profits versus the Bloodline for those titles. That's gonna be big. And eventually you're going to see JD McDonough and Finn Balor are set to defend their belts against Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, which I feel like they're going to retain that on Raw. So, which leads me to they'll eventually get new opponents, which I hope it's Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, but they're on SmackDown, so there had to be two Raw guys. I don't know who I'd really throw at them besides R-Truth and Miz. But I guess we'll see what WWE figures out. Then you got the Intercontinental situation. Braun Breakers has been going through everybody. It's, it's going to be hard for them to keep putting guys out there for him to compete against, because a lot of these guys he's smashing them, and some of these guys I don't know if they're legitly getting hurt or not, but a lot of these guys are getting hurt. So I feel like they need to find like a bigger guy. So I think, or they put a bit like a match with more than one opponent. See what he can do. Raise the stakes, so to speak. Then we got this world heavyweight championship match. Got Gunther versus Randy Orton. I would love for Randy Orton to become 15-time champ and take it off Gunther. But at this point, I think it's too early to take a belt off Gunther. I think Gunther holds on to it, and you're eventually going to see either Seth Rollins comes back, gets a shot at it, or it's going to be CM Punk or it's going to be Drew McIntyre, or it's going to be Damian Priest. So I think very well after Bad Blood, after War Games, it's setting up right now. I think right now setting up to where he has to defend the World Heavyweight Championship in Elimination Chamber. This is what it's looking like. At first, when he was the Intercontinental Champion still, before Sami Zayn beat him for it, I was kind of thinking like, man, how could they, possibly take the belt off him? And I was sitting there thinking like, maybe they could set it up for Elimination Chamber. Well, Sami Zayn ended up taking it off of him, and then Braun ended up taking it off of Sami recently. That could be a very, very good men's Elimination Chamber this year. I don't know if you would exactly have Cody's title defended in there, which I think would be a lot of people would find cool to see, but man, on that Raw side, a lot of good hitters to be crawling for that belt, especially in that match itself. Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. I throw in Sami Zayn, and the sixth guy I'd throw in there, I'd have to go Bronson Reed. That dude's been on a tear lately. It's gonna be interesting seeing him going up against Braun Strowman, but I have a feeling he's gonna go right through Braun, because this hasn't been the same Braun that we've been used to. The guy that wore the shirts that said anybody can get these hands. I'm just waiting for that Braun to come back. I haven't really been liking what they've been doing with him. So I think when he gets out of the situation with Reed, I could see him possibly getting that side of him back. And I think that happens if he joins the Wyatt Six. That's another thing that's getting heated up, and it's getting really interesting with the story between American Made and the Wyatt Six. Okay. Chad Gable is now conned 3 more wrestlers into falling into his atrocious group, so to speak, another group. So now that, the Alpha Academy's thrown him to the curb, now he's got dumped out. He aligned himself and promised the Creed brothers that if they align with him, they were going to be in great hands. Okay. Well, that was because basically he got dumped to the curb, and his family, so to speak, had not wanted anything to do with him, and he ended up getting beat down by the Wyatt Six on their debut to close down Raw. And he's been getting beat down since. And now that he's got the Creed brothers They've been getting beat down too. And, just recently, they got beat down again. So, I think you add Braun Strowman into Wyatt 6, and maybe he can get some of that back. Otherwise, come on. They really need to put some story, like something behind Braun Strowman to motivate Braun Strowman. And I really want to see that get these hands Braun Strowman back. Not this Braun Strowman we got now. So I think that you have Gunther defend the belt inside Elimination Chamber. That'd be a great match. 6 guys that I think that would light up the show for a men's Elimination Chamber. Champion Gunther, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Damian Priest, Sami Zayn. Be amazing. And this whole SmackDown moving to USA to replace Raw, why can't you just put both on Netflix? That's really what I want to see. Because they're talking about Raw going to Netflix, but I really want to see SmackDown on Netflix too. Because they both go to Netflix. In my opinion, this whole PG crap just goes away. And it could be like the Attitude Era. That's really what I want to see. And not a fan of having it on regular TV programming, because in my opinion, the network has a lot to do with how WWE televises their product. So if they're against something, I feel like they're going to make it known. Be like, oh, well, that doesn't fall along our PG rules, so to speak. So hopefully SmackDown does well on USA. Hopefully it does well. I'm kind of going to miss it being on Fox. But yet again, have it on USA. Then you're going to have NXT on CW. Man, should have just had both of them on Netflix. They just kept, NXT on CW, but whatever. I guess one show on Netflix. All I know is they better be beating SmackDown in ratings that they're going to be on there, because once that Tribal Chief has his bloodline back, I feel like their SmackDown's going to take over the ratings. Once Roman's got his family back, I feel like they're going to take over the ratings for SmackDown. Unless Roman ends up getting traded to Raw, which I've been hearing a lot of rumors. That could happen. With this whole move to Netflix, it's possible that he does get traded to Raw or gets drafted, so to speak. So that would be very interesting as well, too. Bobby Lashley recently was released after his, not really released. His contract ran out. Kind of seen it coming. Not gonna lie, kind of seen it coming. Nothing was really happening with him, and the whole thing with the Street Profits just kind of went up in smoke. Especially like that whole feud that they had with the Final Testament. I think that was, the last bit of that. And so now he's going off on his own to wherever it may be, wherever it may lie. I wish Bobby all the best in his future endeavors. Also would like to take this time to remember Afa. Roman's uncle just passed away. Incredible wrestler. Comes from an incredible lineage. Hell of a tag team wrestler. Comes from the Wild Samoans. Roman's father, Sika, had passed recently. And now these two are together again. This time they're up in a squared circle heaven, so to speak. But sending a lot of prayers to the Anoa'i family. We're all deeply saddened to hear the news. Also recently on WWEshop.com, they recently unveiled some collegiate legacy championship titles. So if you're a big college fan, you can go on there. You could find Alabama customized title. If you're a Michigan fan, you can find a Michigan title. If you're an Ohio State fan, you can find an Ohio State title on WWE shop.com. And you also, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you can find an Irish title. If you get on there, you're looking to get one. It doesn't matter what. I don't know for sure, but type in your school. If it does pop up, you're good. If your school does not show up, then depends how big enough your school is, so to speak. WWE had a big past week with their Fanatics Fest in NYC. Rey Mysterio brings out Travis Scott. Lot of cool things happen. They got together with fans. They got to celebrate. They had some interactions with fans. I know one fan handed CM Punk his baby to hold, and that was a pretty cool experience for Punk, and it was a pretty cool experience for that baby's parents. They were doing a lot of autographs. They were doing a lot of like customized entrances. They had photo op sessions. So you had Hulk Hogan was there, Jey Uso was there, Punk, Belair, Cargill, Morgan, Knight was there, Tiffany Stratton, Paul Heyman was there. That was on Saturday. Then on Sunday, Cody was there. McIntyre was there, Bailey was there, Ripley, The Miz, and Ray. It had a pretty cool collector's zone. Had a lot of people that were buying and selling collectors memorabilia. So that was pretty cool. And you have next Friday, I believe. SmackDown's going to get really interesting. I think that Roman Reigns will be back after his beatdown that he took from this new bloodline. Wishing Roman the best. I hope he can have a good recovery and come back to SmackDown. And apparently Ricochet is signing with AEW. I don't know if he's signed yet or not. I don't know how true it is. Apparently he's going to AEW. Well, I knew his contract was up. I knew he was leaving. Hopefully they do something with him. Don't really want to see him go over there and just get the hell beaten out of him and not do anything whatsoever. So I'm really, really hoping that maybe they bring his Prince Puma alter ego out. That's something like I really wanted Triple H to bring out of him, but didn't end up happening. So hopefully it's the best. I'm also hearing that Starks could be leaving AEW. A lot of people were pointing at WWE, but I could see him going to New Japan. He'd have a lot more stuff to do, and he'd have a lot more real say so in how he goes by his career, so to speak, rather than WWE. Because in my opinion, the only place for him would really work out would be NXT. At this point, there's a lot of people on the main roster, and you keep adding people to the main roster, you're gonna have a lot of people that belong on the main roster that get sent back down to NXT and have to go back up because they're just run out of fucking stories for most of these people. So I say just send them to New Japan. He can sign with New Japan or he can go to TNA. Because in my opinion, as with this partnership that's going between TNA, that's going with WWE, TNA is pretty much the developmental. That's how I'm looking at it. I mean, fucking Dolph Ziggler goes over there after, his let go. You had Mustafa go over there, which is kind of weird because I was like, man, are they gonna fight these NXT guys? Nope. So maybe he can go to TNA. I think that would be a good place for him. TNA with their rebrand right now, they could use a lot of help. And I think it's come at the right time. You have Raw going to Netflix, NXT on CW, and you have SmackDown on USA. That opens a lot of opportunities for TNA to get some spotlight. And I think if they get some more talent in the door, I think it will push them in the right step. So give them a guy like Starks to go over there. I'd say once Taz's contract's up with AEW, I could see Taz going over there. Otherwise, I think he goes back to WWE. And if he goes to WWE, I think Hook follows him over to WWE, and you see Hook in NXT, which in my opinion makes sense to have Hook in NXT. I really haven't, and this is nothing against Shawn Michaels and how they're doing NXT right now, but I'm just not a fan of this new NXT. I'll throw this out there. I liked it when it was Triple H. It was the black and gold with the eagle wings. My favorite NXT. When I went to 2.0, I stopped watching it. I watched it a little bit recently. Um, the one person that I currently like right now is the North American champion. I really like Obafemi. I think that dude going up to the main roster, unlimited potential, in my opinion. Unlimited. Put him up on the main roster. Uh, you'd have to throw him on SmackDown. At this point, Raw right now is just. I just feel like it's full right now on Raw with male talent, especially at the superstar level. Um, I just think SmackDown could use a couple guys, especially guys that are capable of going up against Cody Rhodes and hell, even fucking going up against LA Knight. You got him going up against fucking a watered down Legado del Fantasma, and he's just smoking out Santos as he pleases. So hopefully LA Knight's next opponent could be Andrade, because that would be a match that I want to see. I want to see Andrade versus LA Knight. I think at this point in time, it would be the right time to push Andrade. You bring him back, and he's had great matches. He's done very, very well on speed. So I think having him on SmackDown, I think he needs to take it to the next level. I think pushing him to the next level is having him going against LA Knight, feuding with LA Knight, and then possibly taking the title off LA Knight, and then keep having them feud. And then once LA Knight takes that title off him, and LA Knight, after they're done, he can move on to the next guy. And I feel like he could really boost himself after that. I'd have him go up against unless he turns heel, which I really don't know that's really gonna work. So if he turns heel, I could see him going up against Kevin Owens. I could see him going up against Cody. With this whole bloodline thing going on, I don't see him going up against the bloodline. I don't. I could see him going up against Santos. See him having a feud with Santos. That could very, very much well happen. But I think this whole feud with him and Carmelo Hayes, I think it can have the potential of getting serious. So I think what you do is give the people a show. You have both of these guys fight on the Bad Blood PLE. Give them like some intense match, something that they can really let the crowd feed off of. I'd I'd give them like a regular like speed type match, but on PLE, like a beat the clock type thing. Now, the one thing I don't understand. So they got the new speed out, right? And Andrade is supposed to be the champion. Is it just he keeps that while he's doing speed, or are they against him bringing the title out, say for SmackDown? That's what I'm not getting. Like they could introduce him when he's coming out to the ring, him wearing the championship, and then have addressing by his name the speed champion. I don't see what's wrong with that. And you have him defend it on PLEs and the match be like a beat the clock. That's pretty much what they do on Speed. So I think that would be entertaining to put that on PLE. I'd be a fan of it. And so apparently, what I'm hearing, the women's division is supposed to get 2 mid-card titles. Otherwise, hopefully WWE can bring back the European Championship, or they give the main roster a UK Championship, which I would not, I would not be upset at. NXT had their UK Championship, and then they ended up basically conjoining them. So bring back the UK Championship, but have it like the main roster. The NXT one, it was badass. Longest reigning NXT UK champion, Gunther. That man held that belt with class, and it was a sad day seeing NXT UK, just getting flushed away. I think somebody like Vince didn't deserve WWE at that time. So I'm glad now that Triple H is in charge, because a lot of things are going to go back to how they were. And I'm just happy that things are going really well with the main roster, because if Vince was still here, a lot of these people that have got signed lately wouldn't have gotten signed. And you'd see a lot of fucking guys like this Joe Hendry guy around in the building. You'd see a lot more jobbers. So you'd see a lot of Maxine, a lot of Otis, because Otis would be doing stupid shit. You'd see a lot of Tozawa getting his ass beat. The whole Nakamura situation right now that they're with Nakamura, I don't think they have really anything going on right now. So I think right now they're building up a big return for him to try to resurrect him. But I think if you still had Vince, I feel like it may or may not be worse with Nakamura. But I will say though, a lot of his success came when Vince was still there. Same with AJ Styles. So I don't know, man. I think both of those guys though are towards the end of their careers, and I feel like right now they're just trying to get guys over, but also at the same time, I think putting them guys in good storylines and putting them in some rivalries, gives a lot of the fans more and more memories. So whether that be them fighting for another championship, winning another championship, I just don't want them to ruin this whole OC thing going on, especially with especially with it being Styles' group. I still feel like you need to add in former Bullet Club in there with him, because you already have him, Gallows, and you already have Anderson. I think they need a couple more Bullet Club members, and you could very much have them compete with the Bloodline. That needs to happen after this whole Bloodline uh Civil War thing that takes place at War Games, because that's what it's gonna be. OG Bloodline versus this new Bloodline. So I think once this is all settled and done, you need to have the LC take on the Bloodline, or you throw in some other factions to take on the Bloodline, because there needs, and then especially on Raw, like something needs to happen with this Final Testament whole gig. Otherwise, in my opinion, I think you just have AOP go their separate ways from Karrion Kross right now. It's like all they're literally doing with them is having them target. They had them target the fucking Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Now they're having them going after fucking New Day. I don't I don't know what's next, so to speak. So I think it's only a matter of time before fucking you see Karrion Kross back down in NXT. Otherwise, I just I feel like he's a modern day fucking Wade Barrett, in my opinion, dude. That's how I feel about fucking Karrion Kross. It's like he's running some fucking core group right now. But this whole Odyssey Jones thing, though, this is really, really, really set Xavier Woods on edge. So Odyssey Jones comes in the picture, helps them against Final Testament, helps them fight off Final Testament, and then you see Kofi, pretty much dapping them up, you know, bringing them in, and Xavier is feeling like he's already wanting to replace their downed member, Big E, who tragically got his neck busted and can no longer wrestle. And great friend of both of them, he feels like he's trying to replace Big E. Which, if you're in that situation, that it kind of comes off that way. So, in these next couple weeks or next couple shows, it's going to get really interesting. And Xavier's been really uneasy. You saw it in the back. His interaction with Odyssey after they got the win. Saw it in the ring. A lot of people are hinting at a heel turn. And this would be really be big. I just don't want them to ruin I just don't want them to ruin what they got already with the New Day. I feel like they could keep having it go on and keep having it strong. So I think it'll be be something that either could be squashed, so to speak. So I think, maybe they can finally come together and find good ground, and he can just be like, "Hey, I'm just here to help you guys. I'm not trying to join New Day." Or they, keep the New Day in the past because that was with them and Big E, and they come up with their own group, and they're no longer New Day. They let New Day retire with all the greatness and all the glory that they had. They come up with a new group and just fucking bring it to Final Testament. Like, only thing that's really been going well for fucking Final Testament has been bringing in fucking AOP, because he doesn't have to do Cross doesn't have to do the work himself. Got two fucking dominant fucking guys coming in, and they pretty much, fucking carry over the brunt of the beatings, and he just comes in to finish off the scrap. So, I mean, anybody can fucking do well with the powerful fucking tag team, and both of them fucking guys are jacked up. I like them better when they were with Rollins before Vince fucking gave them the boot. I liked them when they were with Rollins, when Rollins was going as the Messiah. But anybody were to come back that I would love to see AOP paired up with, in my opinion, that guy would be Samoa Joe. Have him be the leader. Have him come out with AOP and that Paul guy. I think that would be a dominant trio right there. Don't change anything up with Samoa Joe. Let Samoa Joe be the guy who he is on the mic. Samoa Joe is very, 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 very classy on the mic. And that's fucking one guy besides John Moxley that I really miss right now on this roster. I feel like if those two were still on the roster, I feel like this roster, in my opinion, would be complete. Weave out a couple of the fucking jobbers, in my opinion. You weave out Tozawa, send him to NXT. You weave out Maxine, send her to NXT, send her backstage. Same thing with Chelsea Green. Tell him to fucking kick rocks. And bring in some fucking talent, and then You really, really, really get creative with some fucking stories. So that way, everybody on the roster has something. You know, maybe it be 1 week. These two individuals, and then, you know, gradually build up everybody. So eventually the stories come intertwined, and then make the magic happen afterwards. So Bachelor Berlin will be not this Saturday, next Saturday, live from Berlin, Germany. It'll be on at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and that'll be noon Central Standard Time. Thank everybody for tuning in to Shield TV today, our Huddle Sports Network WWE podcast on Roku TV. We're live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Roku. Tune in next Saturday, and we'll have some more of WWE content for you.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast, The Guys Huddle, Shots from the Sideline, Let's Talk Sports, The Michigan Truth Sports Podcast, Off the Rails, NFC Northeast, Power Hours, and Detroit Lions News. Make sure you follow, like, share, subscribe.